project's made up of the journalists and the developers from Mexico and Brazil, me, Reinaldo Chaves, Fernanda Aguirre, Shirley Alves, and Gibran Mena. We are part of the Abraji in Brazil and the Abraji and the Data Crítica in Mexico. We are organizations about investigative journalism, data science, advocacy, transparency, and social issues in our country. Here we have more details about our organizations. Our projects about the hate speech against the journalists and the environmental activists in Brazil and Mexico, and of course, the context of digital and coordinated hate attacks has a worldwide political importance today, influencing elections, public discussions, and affecting the reputations of thousands of people. And since we don't have much time, I'm going to skip a few slides, but you will receive the link to this entire presentation. At the beginning, for example, we describe some cases of attacks against thousands of journalists and environmental activists, and the attacks are mainly against women. And we will also show a little of our motivation for the project. So let me skip some slides. And of course, we are mentioned in this presentation. We will mention in this presentation some technical items, technical terms. As far as possible, we will avoid using two technical terms, but we will mention a couple throughout the presentation. So here is a glossary with some of the most frequently used terms. About our project in the creation, we realized some problems and opportunities. Our project is about hate speech, and there is a risk context under which journalists and environmental activists carry out their work. Online attacks are a form of coercion and the silencing that can bypass the digital world. For example, the presidents of Mexico and Brazil use disqualifying the work of journalists as a tactic. And in Mexico and Brazil, according to human rights and journalism organizations, we have thousands of cases of digital harassment in recent years, which end up stimulating other problems such as judicial harassment, physical aggression, and the other violence against these people. And about opportunities, using machine learning and NLP to find these digital assaults could make it faster to detect coordinated attacks against journalists and environmental activists. These tools can help to more easily detect entities, subjects, and keywords of these attacks, as well as the authors. And this work could help the tasks of investigative journalists and researchers who study hate speech and its impact on freedom of expression and democracy. And I also collaborate with advocacy actions and protection projects against digital attacks. So about our main steps in summary, in step 1, I would say was very important for us to better understand the problem of hate speech data. For example, to map main victims, perpetrators of attacks, mostly used keywords, and how to work with this data using data science. We also spoke with researchers from Google and the AWS, two companies that have created analytical and commercial tools just for hate speech in several languages. And we also had a lot of contact with the programmers at Rocket Data, an Argentinian startup specializing in data science and artificial intelligence, who helped us a lot with our model. In step 2, we learned more about extracting data on social networks. In step 3, we face the possibilities for automation and project infrastructure. And in step 4, we tested about 10,000 tweets in Portuguese and Spanish with different models for sentiment analysis. And here we'll talk about this in the next slides. About our challenges, of course, create this methodology, and the technical issues was very important. For example, getting the data, as other groups today, we decided to include the only hate speech disseminated by Twitter posts, because it's a social network with an API. And the Twitter is very widely used for this purpose in Mexico and Brazil. And we would not have time to implement the other social media in time. We requested the Twitter academic account that allows a larger extraction of up to 10 million per month. And we learned the commands to use and to build the queries into projects that use the Twitter API to Arc and the Tweetpy to free projects. And about the automation, we learned alternatives to make the process of collecting and cleaning data automatic, and subsequent storage in a database that delivers the results to our website that is updated daily with data and graphics. We looked for alternatives that were easier to program in Python and that were free or less expensive, such as Heroku, GitHub Actions, Protly Dash, and the Airtable. Here are the links to our website and GitHub repository with more technical details and the scripts we created. Of course, we can show later these sites. But now, Fer will talk more about the creation of our model.
So we look for projects that have worked with AI to detect hate speech, and we found a couple of findings. Most of these projects are designed to offer a paid service for content moderation, so the motivations are kind of different. Then we were able to talk with people in charge of content moderation services from big tech companies, and we still found that most part of their methodology are a black box. Most of these projects are for English content, and those that include other languages usually work as follows. You have a comment in Portuguese, then you translate it to English, and then you apply the model that works for English. This is problematic because of the complexities of each language. And then the works that attempt to detect hate speech do so from technical perspectives. For example, how to improve the evaluation of their statistical model or applying recently released language models. So it is difficult to find projects that address the topic from a social approach. Next one, please, Reinaldo. So we decided to use a multilingual model for this stage of the project due to time savings when training a single model for 2 languages. And we tested models from Hugging Face, which is a community that offers open source technologies for natural language processing. And the results were the following. Next one, please, Reinaldo. So we trained 4 different multilingual models from Hugging Face, and we obtained good results. The way you can read these scores is the closer to 1, the better. So getting scores above 0.8 is considered a good performance. However, it is worth mentioning that all models developed better predictions for Spanish than Portuguese, although we labeled more data in Portuguese to balance this. Next one, please. We will list some of the lessons learned and areas of improvement that we identified for the project. Here we have a few conclusions. We realized that half of our time we spend it labeling data to train the model. So we thought about new ways of automate as much as possible this phase and only applying human effort for the hard examples. In the process of searching for new ways to detect hate speech, the experts who gave us feedback during the project suggested us to apply topic modeling to the data that we have manually labeled. In that way, by means of clusters, we could analyze the most frequent types of speeches during attacks. And finally, when we detect an attack, we collect all available metadata linked to that tweet in order to detect new findings such as which networks of people attack and how they relate to each other, common patterns in their profile bios, coordinated attacks, just to mention a few. Next one, please. So what did we learn? As we have mentioned, it is necessary to clearly define and categorize hate speech, but individual examples can be nuanced and subject to context. So it is difficult to make a close categorization when you are handling with a complex social problem. When we talk about AI models, we usually expect a single model to be good enough to solve a complex problem. With this project, we had an approach where we made use of different machine learning algorithms to solve a specific task. So we don't just rely on a model, but we balance the result from different NLP techniques. Next one, please. So what can we improve? First of all, we want to get rid of the keywords during the data collection stage, as this approach may bias the results and the model may not recognize hate speech with terms that we haven't not considered. And we are trying to solve this problem by exploring other natural language processing tasks as topic modeling that help us in the process of semi-automate data labeling. And we can also improve our infrastructure, but it is hard to find affordable cloud services for machine learning models. Next one. About the plans for the project, we have been thinking about to improve the infrastructure, the storage and tools for data collection in order to get more data. We also want to implement new data visualization to communicate the findings and apply new algorithms such as graph network to analyze the metadata. Look for partners in our countries and also in other countries to include new data from attacks in different contexts, and also to discuss issues of ethics and privacy, funding and technological improvement around the project. Our project content will be used for advocacy projects and investigations by Abraji and Crítica, and will also be available to other organizations and researchers to keep developing the model and the methodology. Finally, we want to learn how to use this data for preventing instead of reporting. So that's it. Thanks for your attention, and if you have any suggestion or question, please reach out.